The next challenges was how we would deal then with the funding of putting all of this together. And the funding issues had a particular impact, as in the case of Kusile, it delayed the station for over 2 years. For over 2 years, we never placed a contract because we were not sure as to how that would be funded. And only in October 2010 did we finally put together a funding plan for our build program. And so the lessons out of the funding exercise is that timeliest investment decisions certainly is crucially important for making sure you deal with the funding. And the entire basket of financing elements have to be put in place to give confidence to participants, the shareholder, the debt investors, the suppliers, that we will be able to service our obligations. And in the early era of regulation, Eskom had to take a leap of faith that the infrastructural imperatives would filter through to the regulations, the regulator that we have today, to make sure that we could balance our investment grade rating as a company and continue to attract investors to the scale and magnitude that we needed. Obviously, that did not happen. For many years, South Africa reduced the real price of electricity between 1994 and 2000, and that provided very little or no resources for future investments that we needed. Hence, the first element that we had to do in terms of the funding plan has been the revenue streams, and hence the tariff applications, coming from a very low base in making sure that we get tariffs to a cost-reflective level. So what Eskom was faced was the need to access an ordinate high mix of debt to equity, and quickly placed a very big strain on our credit matrices, and then obviously our rating as a company. The shareholder and National Treasury, in their support for this program, has given us numerous competing priorities, and were unable to provide us the equity financing that we needed. We received a 60 billion subordinated loan. We have agreed to a dividend moratorium, and we also receive a whopping 350 billion rand worth of guarantees in order for us to access funding and giving investors adequate support. In addition, it was critical for Eskom to leverage export credit agency funding throughout the world, and most of this, I must now say, is secure. And sometimes, in the early days of the funding, we learned quite a lot of lessons about what was happening in the investor world, that they had certain mandates. Coal at the time was becoming increasingly unsuitable in terms of their mandates, and it was quite difficult for us to raise funding. So at the low point, we needed to raise 300 billion rand of funding out of different sources. I must say to you that today we have secured 83% of that. Secured, signed, sealed, all done from various sources throughout the world. And most recently, as of 2 weeks ago, Eskom raised its second US-denominated bond of $1 billion after we got downgraded by Moody's by 1 notch. The book was 4 times oversubscribed, and there has been investor interest all the way from the US into Europe.